The wind howled through the pines as Ethan Caldwell clutched the weathered title to his late uncle's cabin, the paper crinkling in his calloused hands. The remote homestead in the Wyoming mountains was supposed to be deserted, a forgotten relic left to him by Uncle Amos, who'd passed 4 years ago. The attorney had assured him the place was his own. Yet as Ethan approached on horseback, a thin curl of smoke rose from the chimney, and 6 sturdy ponies grazed in the valley below. His boots sank into the snow-dusted earth as he dismounted, his pulse quickening with a mix of curiosity and unease. Through the frosted windows, he glimpsed flickering shadows and heard the soft hum of voices, women's voices, mingled with the clink of mugs and the creak of floorboards. Ethan knocked on the heavy oak door, his breath visible in the crisp air. The door swung open, revealing a woman whose presence stole the air from his lungs. She was striking, with raven hair tumbling past her shoulders and amber eyes that held both warmth and wariness. Behind her, 5 other women appeared, each distinct yet united in their quiet confidence. A fiery-haired woman with sharp gray eyes leaned against the wall, arms crossed. A slender woman with golden curls hovered near the hearth, her expression soft but guarded. A dark-haired woman with a piercing gaze lingered in the corner, while another with chestnut locks and a steady demeanor stood by a table, her hands folded calmly. The woman at the door tilted her head, her lips curving into a faint, challenging smile. "You must be Ethan," she said, her voice smooth but edged with steel. "I'm Lena. Come in. We have much to discuss." Ethan stepped inside, the warmth of the cabin enveloping him. The space was transformed from the sparse retreat of his childhood memories. Woven rugs adorned the floors, polished furniture gleamed under lamplight, and the scent of cedar and cinnamon filled the air. These women hadn't just occupied the cabin. They'd made it a home. The fiery-haired woman stepped forward, her gray eyes narrowing. "I'm Mara Tate. Before you start waving that deed around, know that we belong here as much as you do." Her tone dared him to argue. The golden-haired woman offered a hesitant smile. "I'm Elise Harper. We don't want trouble, truly." Her voice was gentle, almost fragile, stirring an urge in Ethan to ease or worry. The dark-haired woman in the corner spoke next, her voice cool and measured. "Nora Kane. We've been here for years, and we're not leaving." The chestnut-haired woman by the table nodded. "I'm Hannah Cole. We knew you'd come eventually, Mr. Caldwell, though we hoped for more time." Ethan held up the deed, his voice steady despite the knot in his chest. "This says the cabin is mine, left by my Uncle Amos. I don't understand why you're here." Lena didn't glance at the paper. Instead, she stepped closer, her amber eyes locking onto his with an intensity that made his skin prickle. "The question isn't who owns this place, Ethan. It's whether you're ready for what it means to claim it." Her words carried a weight that hinted at secrets far deeper than a property dispute, and Ethan felt the ground shift beneath him. The cabin grew quiet as Lena handed him a folded document, her movements deliberate. "Your uncle signed this 6 months before he died. It grants us the right to live here in exchange for maintaining the land." Ethan's heart sank as he scanned the paper. The signature was Amos's, unmistakable from the letters he'd sent over the years. The agreement was clear, legal, and binding. His vision of a solitary life in the mountains dissolved like snow in spring. "The lawyer never mentioned this," he said, his voice hollow. Mara smirked, leaning against the table. "Lawyers miss things. Old men keep secrets, even from kin." Elise turned from the window, her silhouette soft against the morning light. "Your uncle was kind. He knew we needed a safe place, far from prying eyes." Nora's gaze remained fixed on Ethan, sharp and unyielding. "We've rebuilt this cabin, tamed the land. We have nowhere else to go." Lena moved closer, her presence commanding yet strangely comforting. "We could fight you in court, drag this out for years. Or we could find another way, a way that works for all of us." Her voice held a promise, a spark of possibility that sent a shiver down Ethan's spine. Before he could respond, the sound of hoofbeats rumbled through the valley. Mara stiffened, peering through the curtains. "It's Vaughn and his men. They found us." Fear flickered in her gray eyes, a rare crack in her fierce demeanor. The women moved with practiced urgency, as if they'd rehearsed this moment. Ethan's instincts flared. He was caught in something far bigger than he'd imagined. Lena's hand gripped his arm, her touch firm yet electric. Stay back from the window. They can't know you're here. 3 riders emerged from the trees, their dark coats stark against the snow. The leader, a broad man with a scar across his jaw, dismounted with a predator's grace, his hand resting on the revolver at his hip. Ethan's jaw tightened as he sensed a threat in the man's posture. "Who's Vaughn?" he asked, his voice low. Nora's eyes darkened with a cold fury. "A man who thinks he can own people. He claims we signed contracts binding us to him. Contracts we never agreed to." Hannah tucked a stack of papers into her coat, her movements swift. "We escaped 4 months ago. Vaughn's been hunting us ever since, using his influence to keep us running." The riders approached the cabin, their boots crunching on the frozen ground. The leader, Vaughn, called out, his voice smooth but laced with menace. "Ladies, it's time to stop running. You know where you belong." Ethan's anger surged at the thought of these women being treated as property. Without thinking, he said, "You're on my land now, and these women are under my protection." Lena's grip tightened, her breath warm against his ear. "Be careful, Ethan. Choosing us means choosing a fight you might not be ready for." Vaughn's knocks echoed through cabin, sharp and demanding. Ethan moved toward the door, but Lena's hand held him back, her fingers trembling slightly. "You don't know what he's capable of," she whispered. But Ethan's resolve hardened. Something about these women, their strength, their secrets, had awakened a fire in him. He opened the door, standing tall to block Vaughn's view. The man's cold blue eyes sized him up, a thin smile curling his lips. "I'm Gideon Vaughn. I'm here to collect what's mine." Those women signed agreements, and I'm a man who honors his contracts. Mara's voice cut through the tension, sharp as a blade. "Those contracts were forced. Vaughn, you burned our homes, threatened our families. We owe you nothing." Elise stepped beside Ethan, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. "We're free women, not your property." Vaughn's smile didn't waver, but his eyes gleamed with malice. "Freedom's a pretty word, but it doesn't pay debts. You'll come with me, one way or another." Hannah stepped forward, holding a small brass key that glinted in the light. Vaughn's expression faltered, his hand freezing near his gun. "You recognize this, don't you?" Hannah said, her voice calm but cutting. "It unlocks the safe where you hid your wife's inheritance, the one you claimed she abandoned when she disappeared." Vaughn's face paled. "Where did you get that?" "From Abigail herself," Hannah replied. "She's alive, in Cheyenne, ready to testify about how you forged your death to steal her family's land." Lena moved beside Ethan, her shoulder brushing his in a way that sent warmth through him. "Abigail told us everything. Your fake contracts, your threats, the women who vanished when they defied you." Mara's eyes blazed with triumph. "We have records, witnesses, proof of every lie you've told." Nora emerged from the shadows, holding a leather folder. "Every forged signature, every bribe, every crime you committed, it's all here." Vaughn's composure shattered, his voice a low growl. "You think you can ruin me? I own half the judges in this territory." But before he could say more, the sound of approaching horses filled the air. 8 riders appeared, their badges catching the sunlight. Marshal Everett, a grizzled man with a steady gaze, dismounted and approached. "Miss Lena, good to see you," he said, nodding to her with familiarity. Ethan realized these women had planned this moment, their evidence meticulously gathered to bring Vaughn down. "Gideon Vaughn, you're under arrest for fraud, coercion, and conspiracy," Marshal Everett declared. Vaughn's hand twitched toward his gun, his desperation palpable. Ethan felt Lena press something cold into his palm. Uncle Amos's old pistol. "Some men only listen to one kind of truth," she whispered, her breath warm against his cheek. "Are you ready to speak it?" As Vaughn drew his weapon, aiming at Lena, Ethan acted on instinct. He pulled her behind him, raising the pistol in a fluid motion. 2 shots rang out, blending into a single roar. Vaughn's bullet grazed the doorframe, splintering where Lena had stood. Ethan's shot struck Vaughn's arm, sending his gun spinning into the snow. The marshal's deputies swarmed, restraining Vaughn as he cursed, clutching his wound. Lena's hands gripped Ethan's shoulders, her breathing uneven. "You saved me," she said, her amber eyes wide with gratitude and something deeper. Ethan turned to her, his heart racing. "And you saved me," he replied, his voice rough with emotion. In that moment, with danger fading and her touch anchoring him, he knew his life had changed forever. For months later, Ethan stood on the cabin's porch, watching the women who had become his family. The homestead had grown. A new barn stood proud. The fields bloomed with crops, and corral housed a growing herd of horses. Marshal Everett had returned with news. Vaughn was sentenced to 20 years, his corrupt network dismantled. Abigail had reclaimed her inheritance, using it to aid other women trapped by men like Vaughn. Mara led a mare from the barn, her fiery hair glowing in the sunlight as she grinned at Ethan. Her skill with horses had turned their breeding program into a thriving business. Elise and Nora worked in the garden, their laughter echoing as they harvested vegetables for trade. Hannah managed their accounts with quiet efficiency, her leadership transforming the cabin into a bustling enterprise. But it was Lena who held Ethan's heart. She approached with a letter, her smile warm and knowing. "Another order for horses," she said, standing close enough that he could feel her warmth. "We'll need more land soon." Ethan took the letter, but his eyes stayed on her. "Are you sure about this life with me?" he asked, half teasing. Lena's laugh was bright, her hand finding his. "Maybe we're the ones handling you, Ethan, and maybe that's how it's meant to be." As the sun dipped below the mountains, casting a golden glow over the valley, Ethan knew Uncle Amos's true legacy wasn't the cabin. It was a chance to build a life with these extraordinary women, a life of purpose, connection, and love.